In this video, I'm going to show you the Uber driver requirements and Lyft driver requirements to drive in Arkansas. First things first, let's start out with the Uber driver requirements. And I want to say that for some reason, Uber is very vague, Lyft is more descriptive. So I suggest watching both and looking at both, even if you prefer Uber more or Lyft more. In general, there are a few minimum requirements to drive for Uber. The minimum age to drive in your state, Uber's changed this. Back in the day, it was 21. Now it's 25 or older. So you can see, have at least 1 year of licensed driving experience in the US, 3 years if you were under 25 years old, and use an eligible four-door vehicle. Remember, if you don't have a four-door vehicle, or let's say you don't have a vehicle at all, you can rent one to drive for Uber. Now going to the required documents, of course, you need a valid driver's license, proof of residency in your city, state, or province, proof of vehicle insurance. Please have insurance. I mean, the amount of times I've talked to some people who are like, oh yeah, I'll get auto insurance eventually. Get vehicle insurance and rideshare insurance as well. I'll talk about that a bit later in this video. And then lastly, you need a profile photo. You can just take like a selfie with your phone. Now, once all this is submitted, they will run a driver screening. This is both a driving history and criminal history. So they're going to review both your criminal history, a typical background check, but also your driving history and a driving background check. Keep that in mind. Now going to Lyft. And this is a bit more in depth, which I really like. I'm going to go down here first to driver's requirements. Valid driver's license, temporary or out-of-state licenses are also acceptable. 25 or older, very similar to Uber. And one thing I want to say as well on this point, if let's say you're looking for a gig economy type job, let's say you're like, hey Mark, I'm in college, I'm 21. Unfortunately, you don't qualify to drive for Uber or Lyft. But Uber Eats, the minimum age is 18 or 19, depending if you're using like a bike or scooter or whatever. So let's say if you want to do like a part-time gig economy, flexible schedule type job, similar to Uber and Lyft, you can do Uber Eats or DoorDash, or basically delivery driving. Right here, like I said, when it comes to Uber, you have to pass a driver screening, which reviews your driving history and a criminal background check, and then a smartphone that can run the Lyft Driver app. Going up here, to vehicle requirements for Arkansas. And this is where things get kind of interesting. I've done a lot of videos when it comes to the requirements, and I don't know why it's so variant from state to state, but even in the same state, city to city. Because I can see here, if you can see, when it comes to every other city in Arkansas, your car has to be 2008 or newer, at least at the exact time of this video. But only in Fayetteville, and it has to be 2010 or newer. So let's say if your car is, like, say, a 2009 model at the time of this video, you can drive in any other city in Arkansas except Fayetteville. It's kind of weird, like I said, that not only are there such crazy differences from state to state, but also city to city in the same state. Your car has to be a four-door vehicle, 5 to 8 seats, including the drivers, not a taxi, stretch limousine, or non-express drive rental vehicle, and not titled as salvage, non-repairable, rebuilt, or any other equivalent classification. Now, one thing they say right here, which is a huge pro tip for all my drivers out there, if your car does qualify for the premium ride types, you're going to make more money when it comes to doing those rides. So let's say if you have a big van and you can fit, like I said, 5, 6, 7, 8 people, you could do Lyft XL or Uber XL, which gives you more money. And then lastly, going down to the document requirements, a lot of this is pretty straightforward. You need a profile photo, like I said, just a selfie with your phone is fine. Vehicle registration, vehicle insurance, and then an ASE vehicle inspection. So once a year, your car does have to be inspected and get signed off, as you can see right here. After being approved to drive, all Arkansas Lyft drivers are required to have their vehicle inspected by an ASE certified mechanic within 90 days of becoming approved as a driver. And one thing I want to say as well when it comes to this is this also goes for Uber and Lyft. And it also goes vice versa. This is what I mean. If let's say you go to a mechanic, an ASC certified mechanic, and they mark off on it saying, yep, your car is good to drive. And let's say the form says Lyft, you can also submit that to Uber. And if you have an Uber form, you can submit that to Lyft. So when it comes to driving for both apps, which I suggest you do, all you have to do is get your car inspected once and submit that form for both apps. And then lastly, you have to get a virtual inspection. This is something that's new when it comes to Lyft. That beforehand, you have to basically set up a virtual appointment, and it's done via Zoom. You need a friend, a penny, your keys, your vehicle, and your VIN. So basically what you can do is show Lyft your car as a virtual inspection. So once you get the Zoom app, you're going to do a typical Zoom call, as we all probably know. You need to show that your seat belts are buckled and they work. The headlights and hazards turn on. You have to turn off Bluetooth. Make sure, of course, that your device is charged because you are going to be on a Zoom call and you have good service, whether it's through Wi-Fi or cellular data. You use a penny to measure the tread on your tires, and then a friend, because they do want to check your brake lights, and they are going to do a brake light inspection. So either A, you can have like a friend show the phone in the back of the car while you sit in the driver's seat and turn them on, or B, maybe get a tripod, honestly. And I feel like having a tripod in this day and age isn't a bad idea. I mean, I feel like everyone films videos with their phone. I mean, I film all my videos with my iPhone. You can get one for like $20 on Amazon. So I suggest if you don't have a friend, like say that's readily available, just get a tripod on Amazon or a Best Buy or whatever. And then lastly, you do have to display your emblem once you get accepted to Lyft and Uber. I suggest having both. You can get these for free. They usually do send them to you for free. So you can get this right here. And once you're all set up, you're good to drive. Now, there are 3 really important things I wish I knew before signing up to drive. First off, and this is big, the bonus. You can get a massive, and I stress the word massive bonus to sign up when you drive for both Uber and Lyft. You can get 2 massive sign-up bonuses. These can be as low, it depends on your area, it depends on a lot of different factors of like your city or whatever when it comes to Arkansas. It can be as low as $300, which is still pretty good, and as high as, I've even seen $1,500. Here's the key though, 2 different things you have to know. One, you have to sign up with someone's code. I have my code in the description below. I'm not just saying that, so use my code. You just need somebody's code. You can Google Uber sign-up code, Lyft sign-up code. You can use your friends. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure that you have a sign-up code, because this is what I did. When I signed up to drive for Lyft and Uber in Boston, they were doing a sign-up bonus of $1,000. $1,000. Guess what I got? Nothing. Because I literally went to Lyft.com, Uber.com. If I just used my friend's code or just Googled referral code or whatever, I would have gotten $1,000 for signing up. So 1, make sure you use someone's code. 2, review the terms. It does fluctuate, does depend. Right now, it's usually something along the lines of you have to do a certain amount of rides within 30 days. So it is all or nothing. So they may say you have to do 100 rides in your first 30 days of signing up. If you do 99 in those 30 days, you get nothing. You should get the money from the rides, of course, don't get me wrong. When it comes to that sign-up bonus, I would be prepared. I'd say on average, the average driver does, I'd say, about 2 rides an hour. So in my mind, 100 rides equals 50 hours of driving on average, give or take a little bit, right? So that's a thing to keep in mind. If, like, say you're looking to sign up, but you have a busy month coming ahead, I'd almost wait where it's a bit slower. That way, when you do sign up, you have enough time to make sure you complete that bonus. Because like I said, the bonus can be very, very high. And you're pretty much getting paid for something you might do anyway, right? It's literally free money at that point. So that's the first thing. Second huge pro tip, sign up with both apps. I said this before and I'll say it again. I have a huge video listed below in the description to 25 huge pro tips for new drivers to make more money and get higher ratings, all that kind of stuff. This is my first one, sign up with both. And I know some people say I prefer Uber. Some people say I prefer Lyft. And it can go back and forth, but you never know which app is paying more. Sometimes on one weekend as well, Uber might be having a huge bonus or incentive where they're paying a ton. Sometimes it could be Lyft. And here's the thing, it's free to sign up with both apps. I think a lot of people forget that. Another thing is there's no quota. Like you could, let's say, drive for Uber, realize Uber's just paying more in your given area and how and when you want to drive. And then let's say you're doing only Uber, and let's say only on one Friday night out of the entire month, you drive for Lyft, no big deal, right? There's not a quota to stay driving for Uber or to stay driving for Lyft, right? So sign up with both apps is the best way to make the most amount of money because you can go back and forth to determine which app is better for you and which app pays the most, because it does depend on how you drive, when you drive, the bonuses at that time, and a lot more. Lastly, is there anything you need in your car? This is a big thing I get asked a lot, that these requirements are the nitty-gritty requirements that you have to do. You have to fulfill these requirements to drive. But is there anything that you don't need per se to drive, but you kind of need? And what I mean is this mainly for, I find, 1, get rideshare insurance. If, like, say something happens when you're driving, something happens inside your vehicle with a passenger, like say you get into an accident, something happens, rideshare insurance will help cover you in addition to your auto insurance. And the truth is, your auto insurance might or might not cover you when it comes to Uber and Lyft. Get rideshare insurance. Again, it's one of those things like you don't need it to drive when it comes to Uber and Lyft. They don't require it, but you do kind of need it. Second is a dash cam. I look at a dash cam very similar to insurance, where hopefully you never have to use it, but it's there just in case. And make sure you get one that records both the inside of your vehicle and the outside, right? Sometimes stuff happens outside of your vehicle involving other cars. Sometimes stuff happens inside of your vehicle involving a passenger. You have the footage just in case. And I cannot tell you the amount of comments. Since I've started suggesting dash cams, I think like 4 or 5 years ago on this channel, I've gotten so many comments of people saying, hey, Mark, I got a dash cam. someone rear-ended me and turned into like a he said this, but she said this situation because they said, oh, no, you backed into me. And then I said, no, I have the dash cam footage to show that you actually ran into me, and boom, they won the case, right? So having a dash cam can be super helpful to prove your side of the story. Again, hopefully you never have to use it, but it's there just in case. The third thing I suggest you get is a phone mount. I feel like for most people, they have this anyway because pretty much everybody uses their phone as their GPS right now. But if you don't have one, get one. It still blows my mind, whether you're driving for Uber and Lyft or not, the amount of people that will be driving, and I'll see this, and they do this kind of like head bob thing with their phone, like down here, and I'm like, just buy a phone mount. I've seen some at the dollar store for literally $1, or I think Dollar Tree now is like $1.50 for each item, which is kind of hypocritical, right? Or a paradox, I don't know. Anyway, you can get one super cheap. I've seen some on Amazon. I think the one that I personally use is like 10 or 15 bucks. I think it's like 15 bucks. You just get a phone mount. And then lastly, number 4, a phone charger. And if I might even add a little asterisk on that, maybe 2, right? So have like one of those car chargers with 2 different USB ports, and you have one plugged into your phone. That way your phone's always being charged at all times. Because if you're running the Uber app and the Lyft app, GPSs, like a Spotify or Pandora or like a music playing app, your phone's going to die very fast. So make sure you have one for your phone. Secondly, I don't think it's a bad idea because you can get one on Amazon for pretty cheap. Like I've seen some packs that are like $5 or $10 for 2 or 3 different long charging cords. And that way, if let's say someone's in the car, and I'd say this is probably the most common request, and they say, hey, can I use your phone charger? You don't have to unplug your phone. You can just go, oh yeah, here you go. And you could pass it back. And like I said, I've seen some on Amazon that are like $10 for a 2 or 3 pack of 10-foot phone cords. Very easy to do that. That way, if anyone's in your car and they need to charge their phone, you're all set. You got that cord right there.